mean, I think part of having this condition has definitely made me a more empathetic person and a more aware person of things that people don't talk about. And I want to be a voice for the voiceless in many ways. I also run an NGO here in Malta for animal welfare, and then I have the grassroots nonprofit called Drop for Gaza for the Palestinian people. I mean, I will always be a voice for the voiceless where I can be.
Thank you, Amy. You inspire everyone, just seeing you every day, reminding me that there's still kindness out there.
I think at the beginning of what was happening with Palestine, I lost a lot of faith in humanity. And then doing the Drop for campaign, not only have the Palestinian people given me back my faith in humanity, but it's the people that I've met along the way, the friendships that I've gained along the way with like-minded people. You know, it's been incredible. It's one of those things, someone said it to me lately, we birds of a feather must flock and stick together. And I felt that. I felt that deeply, because I have made some incredible friendships like with you along the way, and it's been so incredible.
In reality, a lot of people let you down, but there's still people like you out there that stands by what you believe, and there's still hope. Like you said, a lot of close people have let me down, and I have seen that I have created powerful friendships with you and a lot of people that we connected due to what's happening in Gaza.
I'm Irish, but I am currently based in Malta. I've been living here for about the last 9 years, close to 9 years. It was meant to be a one year kind of trip and explore and move on, but I ended up very quickly with a group of some Maltese people forming the Animal Welfare NGO, and we had a list of goals that we wanted, and I'm not going to stop until that list is achieved. So yeah, I've been living here. Another choice to stay here as well. Obviously, I've made my own little family here. I have my partner and my stepdaughter here. But the sun, the heat of this country has helped my condition immensely, immensely. I mean, going from a cold climate to a warm climate has made a massive difference to just my muscles, my body in general. It has helped a lot. So that was another reason to kind of stay here.
Can I just take you back to your condition? Can you just talk to me? What condition are we talking about?
So I have a condition called fibromyalgia. This is a central nervous system condition. So it's kind of my brain will fire off and missignal things. So it it takes pain signals and stimulation signals and kind of misdrews them. So even things like a loud sudden noise can actually cause physical pain for my body. So it's kind of strange. Stress is a big puppeteer of it all. Stress can cause massive flare-ups, and it takes that stimulation that the body feels in the brain and it just fires it out as pain signals throughout my entire body.
How does it feel living with fibromyalgia?
I think the best way for me to describe it is that I kind of feel like I'm living underwater and everybody else is outside of the water. So everything for me seems a little bit slower. It seems a little bit more difficult. My movements seem a little bit more difficult. What might take the ordinary person very easy to do might take me a little bit longer. So I feel like I'm constantly underwater, whereas the rest of the world is kind of moving on at a normal pace, kind of around me. And it's a strange feeling.
Did that affect relationships?
Absolutely. So I was diagnosed when I was quite young.
How old were you, Amy?
So I was 15 when my symptoms started, but it wasn't until I was nearly 18. So I was 17 before I got a diagnosis. And this was done to process of elimination of getting tests for other things. And I think it took an awful long time as well, because unfortunately, as a woman and as a younger girl going into the doctors, a lot of the time I was just told this was anxiety, that I was having an anxiety attack, that I was being a bit over dramatic about what I was expressing. And it did, I mean, especially in my first real relationship when I was younger, it wasn't believed, it wasn't understood, they didn't want to understand it. So I think a lot of the time I suppressed. For a long time, I suppressed what I was feeling and I hid what I was feeling, and I tried to keep up with everybody else's pace. And I think a lot of the time then as well, hiding it, trying to make new friendships or from the people that were close to me, it's one of these conditions that I've no control over. So I can make a plan one day, and then when it comes to the day of the plan, not be able to get out of my bed. Not having expressed that fully. I think a lot of my friends and stuff thought I was letting them down. I wasn't showing up for big moments. And that was a hard thing to learn, to be honest about it and not mask it. It took a very, very, very long time. So I think it did affect a lot of my earlier relationships, even when it came to actual relationships, to friendships, even kind of with my family. I definitely suppressed it a lot, and it affected, I think, nearly every form of relationship I had for many years.
I don't know if you feel comfortable sharing. Was there a traumatic event in your life as a child that you think it could have contributed to that condition?
Absolutely. So as I've grown up with this condition, we're constantly learning new things about this condition, and it's always changing. We're always learning, which is fantastic. So at the time of the diagnosis, um, something traumatic behind it wasn't known. It wasn't something that was known behind it back then. So it never came into it. But as I got older and the more the discoveries were made and the more I kind of spoke and read from people and different support groups, and I can look back and pinpoint absolutely, absolutely. There was something that triggered it when I was around 14 or 15, I could say for sure. And for a long time, that wasn't, from my part, spoken about. It wasn't brought up. I didn't understand that it could have any part of this. And then I think when I realized that, yes, it was some traumatic experience, I think that was very, very hard for me to accept for a very long time, for a very long time. And I feel like I grieved a big part of myself for the
Yeah.
things I missed. I went through the stages of grief. I was angry. I was a bit lost. I went through a lot of different feelings to accept that.
I think the most difficult part as well, if people around you didn't want to understand your condition. Schools now, through my children, there's no help accessible for mental health. And a lot of the kids don't have the awareness that this is what's happening because they don't understand what's happening internally. And I think growing up at 14, the age of 14 is a very sensitive and crucial age. You have no awareness. You just start to think, I'm different, I'm an outcast, outsider. And
Yeah.
imagine all of that. It must have been so overwhelming. So tell me, Amy, who were you at that time? Do you think your identity was developing based on these conditions?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think having it from such a young age and such a peak kind of moment of being a teenager, it kind of comes back to that grief moment because it definitely shaped who I am. And I had to learn to let go a lot of expectations that I had as a young person. I had all these ideas of exploring places, freedom, just doing all these different things with my friends. And a lot of that I could not keep up with at all. So I was for the traumatic experience in itself, I felt quite angry at myself. And then having a body that I couldn't trust either. I mean, it definitely shaped who I am in a lot of ways. I think for a long time I was very angry. I was definitely a very angry teenager for a long time in a lot of different ways. But I think now it's definitely shaped me to be a more empathetic person. I'm far more aware of things that people just don't talk about but live with all the time. And it's definitely opened my mind to a lot of different things. I think I was so angry for so long that now I look back and I'm like, things could be so much worse. Things could be so much worse, and you are so lucky for what you have and for the people that you do have around you now. I think having the right people around me has made a massive difference in my life as well. I think learning to unmask was one of the hardest things for sure, because my personality was shaped behind smiling and acting okay, because that's how people saw me from the outside. I looked okay, so I needed to act okay and I needed to keep up performances. and it did shape my personality in a lot of ways, but it wasn't a true personality. It was a completely masked one. And it was definitely hard to keep up relationships doing that too, which took its toll too. So it definitely shaped a lot of who I am.
It must have been difficult being angry at yourself, but Amy, did you have a point you were angry at other people?
Yes, I think it was quite a confusing time because no one seemed to understand it at all. And when I tried to explain it, the conversation was never really a long one. And then I think going into doctors for quite a while, I just, even when I knew I needed to go to A&E for this, I wouldn't go because I knew that they would just say, this is anxiety, you're having an anxiety attack. And that would get me really worked up. And I would get really angry. And the more I tried to express this to the doctors, the more it was, see, this is just anxiety. You're being over dramatic. So I think for a long time, I think I was even angry with myself because I questioned, is it real? Like, is this real? Is the pain that I'm feeling as bad as I think it is? Like, am I being over dramatic? Because everyone around me keeps telling me that,
Denying you, they're basically so uncomfortable with your condition that they want it to go away.
yes. And I think for a long time, I understood that. And for a long time, I did try to just put it away and not talk about it and not acknowledge it and stuff. That just made it worse, you know. So I was angry. I think more at the doctors than anyone. I think that was the longest kind of grudge or hatred I held on to for the longest time, because I still think now I suffer from a few different conditions. It's not only fibromyalgia, and when one flares up or something goes wrong with one of these conditions, you better believe fibromyalgia is right there with it. It's going to flare up too. And still to this day, I mean, this started when I was 15. I was diagnosed at 17. I'm now 33. I'm nearly 34. And still, when I go in about other conditions, I'm told, this is anxiety. You need to go and speak to someone. It's just because you're a woman. These things still infuriate me. Absolutely. And it's very hard to like keep your calm while trying to explain what you're feeling when they're denying it right in front of you. Because the angrier you get, they just go, see, I told you so. You're just being over dramatic. And it's a really hard, I think, tug of war game with doctors, but not just with fibromyalgia. I mean, I think for a lot of different conditions, for a lot of different women, the more I talk about this and the more I speak to other women in particular, it seems everyone just seems to have their own little story where they were dismissed for it being anxiety, or just you're just a woman, you're just a girl. So I think I've stayed the most angry at medical professionals. I mean, it has gotten much better as I've gotten older. There's a lot more support for it in the medical field, but you still will get the odd doctor, the odd nurse that will say these things, and it's really disheartening, and it brings back I immediately go back into that rage that I felt years ago, trying to just tell everyone and express to everyone that it was real, that the pain
It's
I was
like
feeling was real.
it's like Amy, you go back to your unheard, neglected child self when you were 14, been told you're just too dramatic, you want to get your way. Just your words are not enough, that you have to document it. I struggle with CPTSD. So it's just kind of what you just mentioned there. I somehow relate, but I cannot imagine the pain that goes with that. But it's always having to explain yourself, show evidence, how exhausting it is. It's trying to maintain a balance where I need space to be sick. I need my space to feel all these emotions and flare ups. But people don't want to give you that space. It's your right to be able to have a space where you can be sick, you can be unwell. But unfortunately, I am just wondering, what is it with people not being able to sit with other people's pain?
Yeah, I learned very early on that not only was I going to have to navigate the condition, but I was going to have to navigate the people around me. You know, I think people are scared of what they don't know and don't understand. And I think it can be hard for people to see a person that looks healthy and then hear them say the absolute opposite. Because I get a lot of, oh, but you're a young, skinny female, you must be really healthy. But no, weight is actually something that I deeply struggle. I struggle to gain weight because of other conditions that I have. So they see one thing and automatically think something in their head, and you're trying to change that first impression that they've had of you. And it's exhausting. It's really, really difficult because I think at first they might believe you, but then the more they hear how constantly you're in pain, you do start to see people roll their eyes a little bit after a while.
Yeah. When you're talking about not being able to put on weight,
I have no idea.
so they think skinny. Oh, lucky you! I can put on weight because I had a phase in my life. I was very, very skinny, extremely skinny, trying to battle abuse and a lot of mental health. So obviously, I couldn't put on weight. So a lot of people wish that upon themselves. So it was really confusing, thinking there's a lack of understanding or maybe avoidance.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is and can be avoidance as well. Because I think it's the best way to describe it for me is it's like fibromyalgia is like the wind. Okay? You can't see it, but if you look for long enough, you can see the effects the wind has on everything around it. And if you are around someone with a chronic condition for long enough, you're going to absolutely see the effects it has on their whole body and just the whole way that they move through the world. And I think for some people, in my own experience anyways, when they start to see it real in its reality and kind of at its worst, in the days that I can't get out of bed and that could last for weeks, that can be very hard. That can be very hard to accept for them. They get uncomfortable. They don't know how to deal with it. But I think then on the other side of it, learning to unmask and having the friends that will still come and sit on the side of my bed just to chat anyways, finding the real people that get it and understand it has changed the whole condition and my whole life, I think, for me. Getting rid of the people that dismiss it, don't believe it, or find it hard to be around, because when you find it hard to be around me, I'm going to mask even more. And I'm going to feel a certain way. I don't want to make you uncomfortable. That's the last thing I want. So I think having the right people around you can really make all the difference for someone's life and for someone's experience in life.
And I feel people who are uncomfortable with our conditions, they actually make our condition worse.
Yes, without a doubt.
I mean, because it does take time to process things. And then once you get overwhelmed. I wonder, Amy, from the fibromyalgia, what is the most painful symptoms that you constantly feel?
I think which the main one, which is I think the hardest one for people to understand, is that I do feel like whole body widespread. I feel there is a level of pain that I feel all the time. Like if you could imagine getting a full body bear hug and that kind of being constant, that there's like a pressure around your body. It feels like your muscles sometimes can't breathe and expand fully. It's just this tightness, this pressure all over my body. That's an everyday kind of feeling. But then with the stimulation part of it, lights, noises, things like that, sudden noises, especially sudden noises, actually, like, it's not just, oh, turn it off. It's a physical pain reaction that I will have. And things like the TV being on and someone listening to their phone and something else happening in the background. It's just so overwhelming that it genuinely can make me dizzy. It makes my breathing go off, it'll trigger my heart response. It's very overwhelming in a lot of ways that I think it's hard to describe to people all the time that, being at this show that I've really been waiting to see, that I've been really excited to go to. Now that I'm here, I can't handle it. It's too much. It's overwhelming, and that stimulation is firing off pain signals everywhere. And I think that can be the hardest thing for people to understand, that every day there is a level of pain that I'm constantly feeling. And that's why I move through the world a little bit slower or a little bit different, like that underwater feeling I was talking about earlier. It's why I move through the world a little bit differently. It's a constant bear hug.
For example, you coming on this discussion today, I'm sure when it's over, it's going to have an impact on your health.
Yes, I thank you for acknowledging that and for saying that. That really means a lot, because even doing things like this, there's the build up to it, and then there's the after where the body relaxes. But when it relaxes, it's exhausting. I have not made any more plans for the rest of the day. The rest of the
Appreciate you.
day will be taking it easy. But I really, the one thing that I've been trying to explain to people recently is that I feel like my energy, because like fatigue is a massive, massive problem. It's probably the hardest symptom for me to deal with fibromyalgia. And I feel like my energy is like currency. And I have to think really smartly about how I'm going to spend that. I see my energy like currency, and I have to use wisely.
I understand you, Amy, because I struggle with mental health. But they don't have empathy to things they don't see. For
Yeah.
example, you have to cry for them to understand that you're hurt. You have to be frustrated. You have to be angry. You have to show emotions for people to understand. If we could have signs all over our body to explain how, like, I suffer CPTSD, fibromyalgia, I feel down, I feel depressed. We have to change that. We have to be able to live in a world where we need to stop feeling we are too much. We have to keep explaining ourselves constantly
Yes.
to be heard, to be respected, to be allowed the space to say yes, there is a condition and that is real.
Yeah. I would be head to toe covered in bruises, is the best way to describe it. I would be head to toe covered in bruises. And I think if people saw that, I would be treated vastly and very differently. I mean, I I myself hold a disability card, but it's not something that I ever take out and try to use, because I'm gonna get the reaction of, and
Oh my God, I'm so
they can't
emotional.
ask you. They can't ask you what is wrong or why you have this card, but they're going to give the frown and the look up and down.
Amy, I'm just like so emotional because me too. You're literally giving me goosebumps. Oh my God, I have a disability badge and oh my God, I go and I use it to park because I get triggers and I have a wonderful partner that supports me. And then when he goes, he sees it and I see it. I park in a disabled bay. Oh my God, Amy, you're literally giving me goosebumps. I had a man next to me parked and confronted me. Are you even disabled? You literally given me goosebumps right there. Like it's kind of relief and sad to understand there's other people like me in
Yeah,
a way, because we put makeup on, we fix our hair, we kind of put an effort, we look presentable to the world. Like you said, we put a mask on that we are well, but inside, if people could see you, Amy, you have bruises all over your body. Unfortunately, people don't want to see that.
it's frustrating even when you have people around you that do understand that you have these conditions. Because, for example, I work also as a veterinary nurse. I only work part-time casual hours. I can't do many. Again, it's planned out like currency, how I'm gonna work and how I'm gonna spend it. But then there's days that I could go into work and I haven't put eyebrows and makeup and done my hair, and the first thing from even my colleagues or even clients that are regulars that know me, oh, are you sick today? Like, you look really sick today. And it's like, okay, because I haven't put on a bit of makeup, now you're seeing a little small part of it. But you also understand, because obviously with any job, I need to be honest about my conditions. They need to be aware of it. They need to be able to intervene if they have to. Like, you are aware that I am a sick person. And it's only when I come in without the makeup on, they're like, oh, are you sick? You know, if I put the makeup and everything on, I'm back into acting like I am a normal, healthy person like everybody else on my team. So it is forgotten sometimes, like when you do mask so much, even the people around you that don't see you constantly, but that you work with and see a lot, forget. They tend to forget that you have anything wrong with you. So then when it hits, it can be kind of, and especially with a flare up, because with the flare up with fibro, it can last a couple of days, it can last a couple of months. You know, it really depends. So it can be really hard for them to understand. And even as a boss, to understand, like, yesterday you were fine, you didn't have any symptoms, but today I can't get out of my bed and I don't know how long this is going to last for. It can be really hard for them. And I think a lot of the time people around you do forget that there's anything wrong with you. I think a lot of it now is resilience that's been built up over time. I think I've grown a lot, even in kind of, what's the right word to use? I'm stronger in my personality, whereas before I would shut down and back down and I wouldn't really want to answer things, and I would self-isolate. Now I'm able to explain it more. Even in my own words, I'm able to express it more. So I think that built up over time has helped a lot. Whereas before, people saying these things would really frustrate me, and I would come home and I'd constantly be thinking about it and I'd get angry about it, or I might cry about it. Now I'm able to just, if they crack a joke, I'm able to just answer them honestly and kind of shut it down. You know, it's it's just how it is. I've had to learn to live with it, and I've also had to relearn and to trust my own body and to listen to my own body. I've learned, like, my reality is different to everybody else's reality, and I've learned to trust that, and I've learned to be able to express that as well a lot better than I think I have ever been able to before.
Accepting yourself.
Yeah, accepting what is my reality. It's not the
Hmm.
reality that I ever expected. And going back to what I was mentioning earlier, for a long time in my teenagehood and my early adulthood, I didn't like myself and I grieved a lot of the expectations that I had for life. But I've learned to trust my body and my reality, and I have learned to trust my instincts and not to push things too far, to know where my limit is, to know when to take a break, to know when to take that mask off, has helped immensely.
Sounds like boundaries to me.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
It's like,
It's boundaries with the people around me. I've learned to trust myself and to put that first before anybody else. So yeah, I've learned to put boundaries.
that's amazing. Amy, I just want to say thank you for purchasing my book.
Of
Hope
course, I
Readable.
can't wait to read it.
That means a lot to me. Your support means a lot. Do you think one of the hardest parts of chronic illness is feeling unseen or just not fully believed? That's just taking you back to that.
Yes, I think not fully being believed, or still now sometimes when I'm expressing it to certain people, watching I still watch for their reactions to see, am I being believed fully? And it is a hard thing to let go of, I think, especially when you're making new relationships. You do try to mask and hide it for the first little while. And I think I still do question some people as to whether you believe me or not. And I think a lot of that actually is, a lot of what is behind that is actually the medical staff. I think having so many people around you not believe it and then going for medical attention and having them not believe it has definitely left a mark on me. I think that might not ever go. And I think I will constantly feel like a part of people don't fully believe me. I'm not sure if that will ever go away.
It just sounds like a being in a very abusive relationship for many, many years. where in a narcissistic relationship where he's always manipulating you, coercing you, making you doubt your reality. Our truth is very hard for
Yeah.
others to believe it, and it's so frustrating. In my book, I explore that survival does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it is simply getting through another day. Do you think people underestimate the strength it takes to live with chronic illness daily?
Absolutely. I absolutely think so. I think people think when that you say, oh, it's an all round pain, it's constant, that you'd get used to it. But every day is so different that you really need to take it day by day. You don't know when it's going to flare up. You don't know what part of your body it's going to affect next, what new symptom you're going to get. And I really feel like, and I felt this for the longest time, that fibromyalgia seems like fibromyalgia for me is the villain in my own story. It is,
Wow.
because it affects me in so many ways, and then it affects the people around me, me trying to explain it to the people around me. And day to day, I think people don't believe that it affects you every day. And then the other part of it, yes, it affects you every day, but then different inputs throughout the day also affect it. Like
Yeah.
right now, where I'm currently living, there's construction going on this side of me, there's construction going on in the house attached to me. And just hearing all these different noises, it has me in a constant kind of state of overwhelmed or overstimulation. And having
Yeah.
overstimulation, the brain is firing out signals to my body and their pain responses. So, like, even walking down the street, the smallest things that I have no control over are going to affect me. So, it is an everyday challenge. And I think trying to explain that to people, or for people to believe that, I understand that it can be difficult. But as I said earlier, you know, the more you are around me, it's one thing for my colleagues in work that see me for some periods of the day and I have rested and I'm at my best when I know I have my shift on. I've saved my energy. It goes back to being like, when you know it's there, you can feel it, you cannot see it, but if you watch for long enough, you do see how it affects everything around you, and you do see how it affects a person's body and how they move through the world. I feel that a lot, and I think unless you are very close to the people like us, they don't see it. They see the best of us. They see the masked us.
Yes, yes. And is there anything that you do that somehow helps you deal with this pain?
I think, like I said, I think planning out my energy like currency has helped a lot. Understanding that I only have a certain amount of energy every day. It doesn't matter how many hours I've slept for or how well I've slept. I still wake up feeling like I have an empty battery. So I think acknowledging that, which has only been in the last couple of years, acknowledging that has helped a lot. I've changed a lot of who I used to act that I was. I've unmasked a lot. I'm very comfortable being at home in my own space. And if friends want to hang out, it's no longer at the bar or at the cafe. It's somewhere quiet where we can sit and have a picnic, or it's in my back garden, you know? It's actively making these decisions in life has helped a lot. Yes, I'm living a much calmer, quieter, and what some people might say is quite an isolated life, but that's the life for me. That is what has helped me. That is what has given me the opportunities to be at more milestones for my friends, things that are important for my family and my friends. I've been able to attend them, whereas in the past, unfortunately, I've missed out on a lot of big milestones for people that I love. I missed my brother's wedding. I couldn't go there. You know, I've missed a lot of milestones. I felt like a lot of my teenagehood and early adulthood, a lot of that time was spent in bed. And it really was spent in bed because I was overdoing it, and I would burn out, I would crash, the flare up would come, and it could take a long time to be able to get back out of that. And when I was back out of it, I went straight back into trying to socialize and do everything my friends was doing. and it would never last long. And it was just a constant kind of repeat for many years, many years.
Do you know what it is, Amy? It just sounds to me that choosing ourselves, we feel guilty, and then we are instantly told we are selfish, right? So I think to me, you wanted to please everyone, but you have forgotten about your own needs. And it's really crazy, right? Because people can start judging your life, but they're not going to do anything about it. People, they find it easy to be uncomfortable with the way you live, but they cannot do anything about it. They won't check up on you to see, do you need anything? How is your mental health? So I think when you understand that, you realize, hold on a minute, I actually come first. Because if I am doing well, I can get up in the morning, can look after my child, I can carry on and being a better version of myself. Even with a condition, we are able, I know as painful as it may be, but if we put ourselves first and deal with our own condition and say, no, I cannot do so and so because of my condition, let them be uncomfortable.
As you said before, having people that don't fully believe you or that's uncomfortable with your condition definitely makes things worse. And I think that guilt it's really heavy when you do something for yourself. That guilt is really heavy. And then when you miss a milestone of someone that's important to you, that guilt is even heavier. Absolutely. So I mean, and I say it to people all the time, I have a handful of friends, but they are the best tight-knit friends that anyone could have. And having people that aren't going to judge you, support you, and lift you up, I think has been best thing for me. Like having people and having a partner that understands that one morning I'm going to wake up and I'm meant to be getting ready for work and I'm finding it really difficult and the pain is really hard. And I think I might need to take the day off work, but I'm stressing in my head about calling work. How is work going to take it? And there's just the anxiety just builds up more and more in the morning trying to figure everything out. But having a partner that goes, it's okay. You need to take the day off. You are sick and you come first and your health comes first. Having people like that around me that isn't judging it, that's aiding it and trying to guide me in the right directions has definitely helped. And I think it's something that I will never be able to, now that I have these things and have these people in my life, I can never let go of it. Absolutely could never let go of it because it's been probably the number one thing for me and my survival, especially over the last couple of years. Having them right people stand beside me that can help change the bad thoughts and the villain that's in my head has been a lot. It's made life a lot easier.
You raise money awareness while managing your own pain. Where does that drive come from?
It's empathy. It's empathy for people that aren't speaking about what's going on in their lives, what they're dealing with every day, or the people who's had their voices stopped, who's had their voices taken away from them. It's just something that's in my soul. It's never going to go away, I think. Like having something like this and it being so invisible, and from such a young age, seeing so many different types of people from different backgrounds and different ages all struggle to understand it, and seeing then other people around me not talk about things that they are dealing with. Someone needs to talk about it. Someone, it depends on what the situation is. People need to shout about it and need to never stop shouting about it. And I think a big part of the drive to get up a lot of the time every day is having those things. Having somebody else to fight for is definitely a big drive as well for me.
Do you think that's the pain that you felt that it turned into purpose?
Yes, definitely. I think I let the pain overcome me as a person for a long, long time. And especially when I was younger, it was really tough and I had a lot of flare ups a lot of the time. And I lost myself. I absolutely lost myself in the condition for quite some time. and being able to change that feeling from being powerless to this condition to understanding that it has made me a more empathetic person.
I realized pain can sometimes deepen empathy.
Absolutely. It absolutely does.
It does, doesn't it?
You
And
notice people, I notice people different. Like if I go into a room of strangers, I can almost automatically pinpoint the person that's uncomfortable. And I won't be able to not notice that. And the energy is just going to keep growing. And I'm going to try and figure out a way, even if it's just by having a conversation with that person, I'm going to try and figure out a way to make that person more comfortable. But it is something that I've noticed. If someone is upset in a room, I don't even need to know who you are. I'm gonna pick up on that immediately, and my body isn't going to be able to get away from that energy. I think is one of the biggest things for us all. Like your pain is valid. What you're feeling is valid, and your emotions behind them are absolutely valid. And to not have any of those or all of those not believed, that's the biggest change that I want. And especially in the medical field. To see anybody with this condition, but especially a young woman coming in, and to automatically assume that this is anxiety, to not look at my file before you've even made these comments, to assume it's anxiety, to assume that I'm just being over dramatic, that I'm not really a patient that you need to pay much attention to. You'll just leave me there for a while and hopefully I'll calm down and you can send me home. These things have a massive effect on a person. And when that scenario is repeated again and again to the point where even myself, I will not go to A&E for fibromyalgia. I won't do it because I know what to expect coming in. And then even the expectations don't help you when you're feeling that sick. So I think being believed and not questioned if this is just because you're being a woman and you're being over dramatic is definitely the biggest thing that I hope in the future gets better.
how long did it take for you to get a diagnosis?
So it took just over 2 years, but that was 2 years of me just being constantly driven into A&E by my parents, where I just couldn't get out of bed or I was collapsing at home. So it was constantly being brought in by my parents, constantly going to my GP, going to the hospital and saying this is real, what I'm feeling is real, and them doing test after test after test after test. So I got the diagnosis through process of elimination. They had done every test that they could think of and weren't finding the answers, but could see in me, look, now you've given her pain relief. Some of her colour is starting to come back. Like this isn't a made up thing. We're seeing it.
Amy, what would you say to somebody silently struggling with chronic illness?
You are valid, and it is real. It is real, and like I said, we're like the wind. You can't see it, but you can feel it. And if you ever question yourself, just go outside and stand in the wind. Let it touch your skin, feel it, and feel revalidated because it is real. You're not the only one that is feeling it. You're not the only one that might look okay and feel completely different on the inside. Your your feelings and your pain is real, and never let anyone change or strew your mind or your feelings towards it.
Thank you, Amy. That's beautiful. Do you think healing always means becoming pain-free? Or can healing also mean learning to live fully despite pain?
I think it's learning to live fully despite the pain. And I think that's really hard for a lot of people. I know other women with fibromyalgia, and as I said before, it did control a lot of my life before and I let it. It does take over for a lot of people, and it can be hard to learn to live with it. And I think it can be even more hard to learn to accept it. So learning to live through it is and getting on and being happy is one of the greatest gifts that you can receive, like that you can feel when you get to that point in your life. It's a gift.
It's beautiful. And also, what part of yourself has survived this illness that you are proud of?
Yeah. It's definitely been a struggle. As I said, it's been the villain in my life, and it has taken me down many different paths. But I think if it wasn't for it, I don't know if I would be the person that I am today. I really don't. Could be someone very different. And I'm proud of the person that I am today. I really don't think she would believe it, because younger me being told that this was a condition that was incurable, that was going to be for life here. You do learn to live with it, and it's taken me on so many different journeys. I wouldn't be the person that I am today. And I've taken all of that as such a learning curve. It's made me so much stronger. As much as it's painful, it's made me so much stronger.
Me.
I cannot thank you enough for allowing me to do this. I mean, to think, even because I've watched so many videos about my condition and different people talking about it, and you have some celebrities, we had Sinead O'Connor speaking about it and Lady Gaga speaking about it, but it's not enough. It's not enough. And to think that someone with fibromyalgia could be watching this, and if anything I have said makes a connection with even one person, I'm truly honored.
Spaces like this, where our voices need to be heard and to see no one is alone. Everyone is carrying something. Everyone is suffering in silence behind closed doors. Honestly, Amy, it's so inspiring. And I want to thank you for everything that you do, for the empathy, for the help, for raising money to the children in Gaza. And Drop for Gaza means a lot to a lot of people. How can people find you, Amy, and how can people help your movement?
So I'm on Upscrolled, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, I'm on Facebook. So if you search Drop for Gaza, you will find me. And then on any of those accounts, there is an attachment to my link tree. So Drop for Gaza was created with the thought of, we're living in a world where we're watching influencers all the time. We're in a world where people are getting paid per view for their content. So the idea was to get celebrities, big influencers, to donate a drop, whether that be a music video, a piece of art, a spoken word, a poem, anything, to upload it with the hashtags Drop for Gaza. And if you are monetized, that means you are getting paid per view. That money that you gain for that video can be donated. So the idea is that no money ever passes through me. You can find multiple links for different organizations and for different Palestinian families on my link tree, and you can decide yourself what fits for you most and where you would like to put that money, and it can be donated through the link tree. So no money ever passes through me. It's from the creator directly to either a Palestinian organization or directly to a Palestinian family.
Thank you so much, Amy. It's been amazing having this discussion with you. Regardless, we have to keep going.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We have to just keep going. I feel like a lot of the time, I feel like a book that's constantly being judged by its cover. But there's just so much more. The more you talk to me and the more you talk to anyone with a chronic illness, the more there's so much more beneath.
Amy, I want to talk, because you mentioned the cover, right? I just want to show you. This is an example. Don't judge the book by its cover. Because it's all pinky and, but when you start reading, that's how.
It's a different story.
That's us. Amy, thank you for being part of this conversation.
Thank you so much for inviting me to have this conversation. Again, honestly, it's such an honor for me.
The honor is mine.